One of the most common metaphors the Bible uses for God's people and for their role in this world is to call them witnesses. And in a trial, a witness isn't the prosecutor and a witness isn't the defendant. A witness also isn't the judge or the jury. A witness is called into the courtroom to provide testimony, to share what they've seen, what they've experienced, and what they know, to tell that story. Their job is to serve as a landmark for the judge and for the jury who are trying to navigate their way toward some kind of truth when truth is hard to find. And American politics doesn't make it easy to be content to be a witness. American politics kind of conditions us to either come into the courtroom and act like a prosecutor, kind of announcing who did what wrong and we know best, and making our argument that this is why these other people are wrong and not to be trusted. Or it gets us to come into the courtroom and act like defendants, like the morally upright people dealing with false accusations from our enemies. But neither of those things is what the Bible calls us to be. The Bible calls us to be content to be third-party witnesses in the trials that other people are having in their hearts over the truth of Jesus' claim. A lot of times it seems like our goal isn't to give that testimony. A lot of times we kind of fall into the trap of our goal being, well, we're coming into the courtroom because we really want to be the judge. We really want to be the ones to get to set the rules that other people have to play by, or we really want to be the jury, the ones who get to decide who's right, who's wrong, and enforce, kind of put force behind our vision of what's right and wrong. Just being content to tell a story is really hard. Partly because we don't have a framework for that. What does it look like to go into the public square and try to just give a testimony to what Jesus did instead of trying to wage holy war on Jesus' behalf? Like, does our testimony come from what policies we support? And my guess is no. My guess is also that our testimony doesn't come from whether we even win or not. No matter what policy you support, there are going to be people who don't share your faith, who are way more into that goal than you are. No matter what party you're part of, there are going to be people who don't share your faith, who are way more dedicated to that party or living way more in line with that philosophy or that ideology or that group than you are. No matter what policy goal you're working toward, there are non-Christians out there who are going to be better than you at making it happen, at getting the ball farther down the field. So if our testimony doesn't come from the policy we support or the party we belong to, and if our testimony doesn't even come from if we win in the public square, what does it come from? How do we tell that story? The Bible doesn't leave us hanging in that. The Bible tells us explicitly in Philippians, let the manner of your life be worthy of the good news of Christ. This is a clear sign to them. The way we conduct our lives, even when we're in the public square, the way we conduct our lives is what the Bible says we have to tell the story of Christ. It's how we provide that testimony. We are going to explain Jesus. We are going to testify to the gospel by behaving differently in the public square, even from the people who agree with us about politics, about government, about policy. If people on the other side of the aisle who don't share your faith aren't looking at you and seeing that you behave differently from the rest of their political opponents, if they're not looking at you and seeing that there is something more admirable about you than there is about the rest of their political opponents, you may not actually be offering the testimony you want to be offering.